The college football season kicks off tonight. Reason to be excited, but not a reason to be careless with the way you're betting. Hi everyone, Al DeMarco here with your Thursday video report. I'm going to break down a couple of games and get to a free pick on Utah and Pittsburgh in just a moment. But you know, here's the thing with the start of any new season, but especially in college football and the NFL. Everyone is excited that football is finally back, but the biggest mistake, one that I find gamblers have made the most over all my years in this business, is they get too excited in terms of wanting to unload with big plays and big wagers the opening night, the opening weekend of action. Now listen, if the action warrants a big play, it's certainly understandable, but you never force a play. You don't force a play whether you're winning, whether you're losing, or because it's the beginning of the season. I like a handful of games tonight, but there's no single game out there that is screaming, bet me, bet me, bet me for everything it's worth. My recommendation for you as well, if you're not taking my advice and you're out there on your own, do not force the action. Listen, guys, there's lots of action. There's action tomorrow. There's action on Sunday. There's action on Monday. There's 30-some games on Saturday. You don't force a play when it's not there. As for me, tonight, I've got 3 more 5-dime plays. Now, some people out there may be watching this video for the first time. Let me just explain something. You'll see some guys at this site who will have 50, 60, 100-dime plays. That's what their rating system accommodates. For me, the bulk of my plays are 5, 10, and 15-dime releases. To wit, I've had 2 20-dime plays in the past 7 months. Last year in the NFL, I had 2 30-dime plays, period. So 5, 10, and 15-dime plays are more or less my normal cache of plays. And those 5-dime plays, after cashing in with the Cincinnati Reds last night on the run line over Milwaukee at a $1.15 underdog price, are 16-4 over the past 10 days, 7 of which have been on the plus side. So a 16-4 run with those 5-dime plays. These are not inconsequential plays. Are they plays where I'm taking huge amounts of bankroll and huge amounts of money putting on them? No. But they are certainly good plays. That's why I'm releasing them. These are the plays that I'm personally betting on. These are 5-dime plays. I'm looking at the USC-Hawaii game tonight at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. I'm also looking at your Minnesota-Middle Tennessee State game. And finally, your Northern Iowa State game. That's my 5-dime trifecta going this evening. And again, 16 out of 25-dime plays. I'll take that, and along the way, 5 out of 6 in the NFL as well. Now, in terms of the NFL preseason, as I've alluded to here in the past few days, I'm going to take a pass on these Week 4 games tonight because these games are even worse than any other preseason game. These are meaningless games that are going to feature 99% of them second and third stringers battling for roster spots. Starters are going to hardly see any action. Most, none at all. These are not games you play on. So I'm going to pack up my 5-1 roll in the preseason. You can see what I've done the last 3 years in the NFL and the profit I've turned, and I'll wait till next Thursday's NFL openers. Now, for college football tonight, let me talk about a couple of games for you before we get to the free pick. You know, that first game on the board tonight, South Carolina and Southern Mississippi. South Carolina certainly looks attractive at home when you consider this defense that the Gamecocks have, especially against the run. This is a team that also pretty good against the pass. But the problem I have with South Carolina is, you know, Steve Spurrier arrived in Columbia as an offensive genius. It just hasn't happened. Even though he has Stephen Garcia, a guy that he has really ridden hard, he has yet to be able to get anything going here on a consistent basis offensively. You know, last year the Gamecocks only averaged 21 points a game, and look at the number you're being asked to lay tonight. Plus, this Southern Miss team, are they a worthy opponent? It depends on how you look at it. I mean, the Golden Eagles offensively lost their top running back in Damian Fletcher and 4 starting offensive linemen. Yet, is this a look-ahead game? Does South Carolina really put the foot to the pedal here tonight, knowing that they've got Georgia coming to town next week for their SEC opener, plus South Carolina 7-14 ATS in their last 21 home openers? So, you know, I think that's a game that you have to be very leery of. Another game to be cautious of, Ohio State laying the big margin at home against Marshall. Of course, Ohio State is the better team. But do the Buckeyes really focus for 4 quarters tonight against the Thundering Herd when they have Miami of Florida coming to the Horseshoe next week, 8 days from now? I don't know about that. And remember, this is a team, Ohio State, that has not fared well in its openers when laying huge double-digit spreads. Remember last year, laying 22 points against Navy? Barely won that game, 31-27. Now, granted, Navy was a much, much better team than Marshall. But still, do you want to find yourself in that situation here tonight? You know, they have failed. Ohio State has failed to cover big double-digit margins of 20-plus points or more against Navy, Ohio, and Akron. Two more MAC teams right there over the past couple of years. MAC teams, no less, and an independent laying an average of 28 points, and that's the same margin you're being asked to lay tonight with the Buckeyes. Even though this Ohio State team has an outstanding defense, I think it's a game that you have to stay away from. As for the game I'm going with, I'm willing to lay the 3 points with Utah at home against Pittsburgh. Now, 3 points. As I always tell you, the lines that I cross when it comes to buying a half point for insurance are 3, 4, 7, and 10. Absolutely, I'm buying down the half point here on this Utah team. If you're getting 3, 3.5, I doubt that this line is going anywhere up to 4. But again, I'm buying down the half point on insurance on the Utes at 3 or 3.5. You know, Utah has won 17 straight games at home. Forget about this being a rematch of the 2005 Fiesta Bowl. The personnel has changed dramatically. One thing you have to consider about Utah, and this is something that I think is an overlooked fact when you consider the Utes. This is a veteran team in one regard. Not so much for the starters returning, but consider the number of players that they have that are coming off of 2-year missions at various stages of their career. Over 20 of them on their roster. They're a more mature, veteran team. They have an outstanding coach in Kyle Whittingham. Dave Wannstedt, if you've watched me over the years, you know I am not a Dave Wannstedt fan. As for Pittsburgh, a 10-win team a year ago, but they have 2 offensive line starters back. That's it. 2 offensive line starters, 2 new guards, and a walk-on center. Now, they've got Dion Lewis, who ran for 1,799 yards a year ago, back leading that backfield. But brand new quarterback they're breaking in as well. Sophomore Tino Sunseri, 17 pass attempts in his career. So I think that's going to be problems. A lot of people will point toward Utah saying that, you know, their defense was pretty much decimated, that they've only got 3 returning starters because they had 4 players drafted in the NFL draft here in April. But they do have their outstanding nose tackle and one of their top defensive ends coming back, and they will drive and put pressure right on that offensive line for Pittsburgh. An offensive line, can it give protection to the Pittsburgh's inexperienced quarterback? Is it going to be able to open up enough holes for Dion Lewis? As for Utah, they have so many different looks offensively. You know, primarily they run the spread attack. Last year, a freshman, Jordan Wynn, came in, took over at quarterback. Really solid year, 65% completions, 1,600 yards, 11 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. But as I said, they run multiple sets. They can go to the power set, where they run a traditional power formation with the lining up in the eye with the fullback. Sometimes they go to the Wildcat scheme as well. You know, Pittsburgh, on paper, was a very strong defensive team last year. But did you see Pittsburgh down the stretch when they played a team that had a bunch of tricks in their pocket, Cincinnati, in the season finale, when they blew a 21-point lead and lost that game 45-44, which cost them a chance to play, possibly for a national championship, possibly or definitely for a bigger bowl, and then they struggled their way to beat North Carolina in the Meineke Bowl 19-17 to close out the season. So I think Utah playing at home again, where they have won 17 straight games. Utah is the play in this one, minus the 3 points. I came this close to making Utah a 5-dime play tonight, but I just like the other games a little bit better. Utah, your freebie, guys. Good luck, everybody, and I'll catch you again on Friday.